Chris Mannix, senior NBA writer for Sports Illustrated. He joins us now.
I think, first of all, Spain is stacked. I mean, they're a team with...
Hi, Chris.
Like, you got my worst hits all just queued up and ready to go every time I come on the show.
All right, here we go.
Plenty of them,
Okay. Here, I have plan B for the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
And this is going to blow your mind because you're going to probably yell at me. If I'm the Cavaliers, I don't trade Andrew Wiggins to get Kevin Love. I trade Kyrie Irving.
You know, I think that Minnesota would take him. The Timberwolves are not afraid to add real salary to the roster at this point. They would have taken Klay Thompson with open arms, for that matter. But I think Cleveland doesn't want to do that deal for two reasons. Number one, LeBron's made it pretty clear he'd like to play with Kyrie Irving, both in that letter on SI.com and everything I've heard from behind the scenes. He played point guard in Miami, but that was a matter of necessity. LeBron doesn't necessarily like playing that position, having those kind of responsibilities. I think he wants the freedom to play with an elite point guard. Number two, as great as we think Andrew Wiggins is going to be, we still just think that. You know, I saw him in Summer League last night, Dan, and he had a move where it seemed like he spun from outside the paint and put home a dunk that was as good a Summer League move as I've ever seen. But he still just has potential. Kyrie Irving, at the very least, is a proven commodity. And even though LeBron's acknowledged it's going to be a long building process, I don't think he wants to deal, and the Cavs want to deal with their only real proven star just to get somebody back.
You don't think, okay, if you were going to buy stock in Irving or Wiggins?
I'd buy it in Irving, no question. I think this stuff about Wiggins being untradeable is total crap.
Do you think that they'll trade him?
I think if push comes to shove and Minnesota says, we're going to Golden State with this deal, we're going to Boston with this deal, we'll change our minds and give you this deal if you put Andrew Wiggins in it, I think they'll do it. I mean, I've read a lot of stuff about different executives saying certain things, but I can tell you I spent the last 2 days walking around both gyms in the Summer League talking to different GMs and assistant GMs, and not a single one of them said they wouldn't trade Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love. It's as simple as that. And I think that if David Griffin, if he's presented with that offer as an ultimatum that this deal is going to go down without you unless you put Wiggins in it, I think that they do it. And moreover, Dan, I think it's going to take more than Wiggins. I think it might include waiters, and it might include a first-round pick. I mean, Minnesota's not in the greatest negotiating position, but they're not in the worst either. People keep saying, well, Kevin Love's going to walk at the end of the year, and maybe he's going to walk to Cleveland. Well, walk to Cleveland what, with their $10 million in cap space and take less money to go play there? I mean, there are other teams that Kevin Love would lock up with long-term, and if Minnesota can find a palatable deal, I see them taking it.
Well, you know, I guess I'm trying to figure out what their logic is here. That do you bring him back and try to convince him that you do have a team that can make the playoffs? Do you run that risk? Do you then say, all right, let's trade him. Let's see what we can get. What is the best deal out there? It seems like Flip Saunders is still holding out hope he can convince Kevin Love to stay in Minnesota. What's the likely – season starts. Where's Kevin Love?
You know, season starts, I would expect him to be somewhere else. And you're right. You know, Flip Saunders, right or wrong, crazy or not, thinks that team, if healthy, with Kevin Love – can make the playoffs. Remember, they were pretty good last year for like 3/4 of every single game. And then the fourth quarter, they just imploded, you know, time and time again. Flip thinks he can change that. You know, he's obviously been a very good coach in a couple of different cities. I don't necessarily buy into it, but that's at least his thinking right now. But one thing I think Flip, as the coach and as the GM, and really as the part owner as well, one thing he just doesn't want to do is come to training camp and have his season just detonated from the start by countless questions for Kevin Love about what he's going to do this year. I mean, people think distraction's overrated. It's not. You know, Kevin Love is going to get that every single city he goes to, and his teammates going to get that every single city he goes to. So I think the first option for Minnesota is to deal him before the season. But remember, we've got 2 months to go before we even have to start worrying about that. And big trades do go down the off season. When Kevin Garnett was traded, it was late July, early August. I could see that similar timetable, if not later, for Kevin Love in Minnesota.
Well, maybe LeBron could orchestrate a trade for Shabazz Napier and get Kyrie Irving out of town and then bring in. Now, I guess that.
How great was it, Dan, by the way, that Shabazz Napier unfollowed LeBron and deleted all his tweets?
Oh, it's over. I mean, the bromance, that didn't take long. I mean, that's a one-night stand there.
So sad.
Who saw that one coming? But do you really think that where the Heat Did they draft Shabazz Napier for LeBron James? And could they have gotten him without trading up to get Shabazz Napier?
I think teams knew, and Charlotte certainly knew, that Miami wanted Shabazz Napier. I don't think it's as simple as, well, LeBron wanted him, so we're going to go get him. Shabazz was rising on everybody's draft board, and I heard from people in Miami as soon as the college season ended, the tournament ended, that they really liked Shabazz Napier's game because there was some uncertainty about how much it was going to take to bring back Mario Chalmers, Norris Cole entering the last year of his contract. Shabazz Napier, at the very least, gives them some flexibility. Now, obviously, it didn't hurt that LeBron James was tweeting like a madman that he loved this guy, but yeah, you look at the board, and I don't think there was anyone out there that Miami was overly enamored with in the front office that they would have taken ahead of Shabazz Napier if LeBron wasn't involved.
He's Chris Mannix, senior basketball writer for Sports Illustrated, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Who had a worse week, the Lakers or the Rockets?
Oh, the Rockets. I mean, the Lakers at least tried, and, deep down, I think Kobe and Mitch Kupchak knew that they weren't getting LeBron and Carmelo to go there. Their goal is to – and they made some funky signings. Like, I don't know what – Jordan Hill, he's getting, $9 million per year, and Nick Young gets a long-term contract. I don't really know what the motivation is to give those guys all that money, but they knew this offseason was going to be tough. They knew it was going to be difficult to lure guys to L.A. This year in particular. Next year is what they're targeting with Rondo and maybe Aldridge, and Goran Dragic is out there as a free agent as well, and certainly Kevin Love if he stays free. Houston, I mean, 2 days ago, they could have been a super team, and they really believed it too. They believed that Chris Bosh was going to go down there, no question. They did not believe that Miami was going to give that 5-year offer, the 5-year max. And Chris has made it clear throughout this process, that he really does like going back to Miami. But Houston didn't believe he was going to turn down that offer. Imagine Houston with Bosh and with Chandler Parsons. I mean, I don't know if they're the favorite in the West right away because I don't know what their bench would look like, but that's a team that could dominate the West for the next 5 or 6 years. I don't think Houston is done. I don't think it's that as bad as people think it is because they do have that lottery pick that they got from New Orleans in the Omar Ashik deal, so they can make some moves, and they will make some moves during the season. But that was a tough day for them the other day, no question.
Now, did the Cavaliers have the Miami Heat first-round pick from the LeBron James to the Miami Heat 4 years ago?
They do. And that's going to be a good pick. Not a great pick or a lottery pick, but that's a middle of the first-round pick they can use as a carrot to make a deal down the road. So I know a couple of people brought that up to me at the Summer League yesterday, and they were crediting Chris Grant. I mean, Chris Grant, the former GM, he's not going to get a lot of credit for all this because people will look at the Cavs and say, well, first, the number 1 overall pick 3 out of the last 4 years. That's why you got LeBron. But Chris Grant, some of the moves he made were instrumental in getting this thing happening.
Is it Anthony Bennett finally losing weight and actually resembling a number 1 overall pick?
He lost weight. He's playing pretty well, but I swear to God, Dan, I can't read anything at the Summer League statistics. If I did that, I'd buy Marco Bellinelli jerseys, every year, and Nate Robinson would be my favorite player. He has lost a lot of weight. He's playing with off the dribble pretty well, and physically he's dominating some of these guys in the Summer League. Had a nice game I watched last night, but we have to wait and see. He has to do it against real competition before I buy into Anthony Bennett.
Before I let you go, I try to let people behind the curtain on this that having been at the mothership where there is so much pressure on their insiders to be first, and I don't know, with you with Sports Illustrated covering the NBA, how much pressure did you feel from the magazine, from your bosses, that you had to be on top of this free agency stuff and tell people where somebody was going before somebody else? Not
a lot of pressure to be first on everything. Certainly they'd like that, but one of the things that we like to do, and I thought Jenkins did it great, both in that first-person thing and what he wrote today, which I retweeted the link to his magazine story for this week, just providing real context about why things are happening. If a guy signs here and people scratch their heads and wonder what they're thinking there, I consider it my job to make phone calls and ask the people that signed him what they were thinking. So I feel like it's part of my responsibility certainly to try to be on top of the news and be breaking news, but I just hate the idea of being wrong, Dan. I hate buying into gossip without having it verified through a couple of different sources. It's just so tough to swallow when you got played. And I've been played a few times in my career, no question. But you try to avoid that at all costs because when it's all said and done and it's over, it kind of makes you look dumb.
All right. Final question. It's a one-word answer. Who has more wins next year, the Heat or Cavs?
I'm going to say Miami, just because.
You couldn't do one word, could you?
No, I can't.
I know.
But
I knew that.
Luol Deng is a good player, and he's going to fit into how they want to play. And Eric Spoelstra will find ways to use him, much the same way Tom Thibodeau did. It's close. It's like maybe 51-49, but I'll give it to Miami.
We'll try that again. Who has more wins, the Heat or Cavs?
Dante Exum.
You love Dante Exum.
Tweeted probably a picture of him last night.
I know. Well, you know what? Rubio feels slighted. You kicked him to the curb. Now you got a new boyfriend.
I'll be at Dante's game tonight, too. 3 straight.
Yeah, great. Good luck with that. Yeah, okay, good. Now we're going to factor in the stats from the Summer League because he's killing it.
We go both ways, Dan.
Oh, by the way, are the Lakers going to have a coach this year?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not Byron Scott, I'd be surprised. I was talking to a couple of people yesterday, and nobody's in the running but Byron Scott. And,
That's what
I
thought.
don't really know what they're waiting for.
Is it Byron Scott's to lose? How does he lose this?
I don't know, but you saw the report, and I haven't verified this at all, but they said the Lakers will make a decision within a couple of weeks. There are no more free agents out there, really. Lance Stephenson's the only guy that's unrestricted, and the Lakers aren't going after him at this point. So I don't really know what they're thinking.
Chris, thank you, bud.
All right, Dan.
Chris Mannix, senior basketball writer for the NBA.